What's up, nerds? It's the Shriver Twins.
I'm Kaitlyn.
And I'm Kristina. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Double Feature Podcast.
So today, oh boy, today is going to be a day. It is. So we're talking all things Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker, because we just saw it last night. Lots of feelings right now.
So many feelings. I'm still trying to process it. Yeah, so let's just get right into it.
But before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Yes.
Get those notifications going. We want to make sure you guys are up to date on all of our podcasts.
Yes. And share and like this video, too. We want to hear all your thoughts on the movie if you've seen it. And just kind of get your opinions and go from there. But make sure you subscribe, please.
We also have an Instagram.
Yes.
We'll put the link to it in the description box below. So make sure you follow us. We'll be
behind the scenes,
behind the
photos,
scenes updates,
sneak peeks to new episodes, all sorts of fun stuff. So go give us a follow. Again, we'll put that in the description below.
So where would you like to start? Because first half is going to be spoiler-free.
Yes,
it's just going to mostly be about our feelings towards it.
Exactly.
And then the second half is going to be
spoilers.
all spoilers.
So
So warning you now.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, don't watch the second half or listen to the second half of this podcast.
Unless you want to be spoiled.
We're going to ruin it for you if you haven't seen it. So
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry, I guess.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
Maybe.
Bringing it back.
But, okay, so overall... I'm still trying to process it, but I think
mixed feelings.
Yes, it was better than Last Jedi. But I will get that out of the way. Okay, it was better than the Last Jedi. But that's easy to do.
I liked The Last Jedi. Again, I said this on our last podcast. I liked it, but I did like this more, which says something. But my feelings are still kind of
they're all over the place.
They're all over the place. It was a lot to take in because they put so much into one movie.
It was very compact and it was like 2.5 hour movie, which is standard for Star Wars, but it was like they took what 8 should have been and put it and just combined it with 9. That's exactly what it is. Basically, and just with JJ going from 7 and then 9, and then Rian Johnson doing whatever he did with 8, which was just a pile of garbage.
But they took elements from 8.
Some, but they kind of disregarded it completely.
They filled the plot holes that were then brought up. They did do that. But then it raised more questions with 9 because, we'll get into it in the second half.
Right, but I feel like JJ just didn't know what to do with what he was given in 8, that he kind of had to, not completely ignore everything. He had to take some aspects of what happened in 8, but it felt like it just went from episode 7 directly into 9, and 8 didn't happen, which, again, I'm okay with, but at the same time, combining essentially 2 movies into one was a lot. It felt very rushed in some areas, and then at the same time, it felt really slow.
I would agree with that.
The pacing was all over the place.
It just, oh gosh, it started off really, really good.
Yeah.
And, it brought you in immediately. Mm-hmm. And then it's just okay, we're at, the really, really high point. Then we're going to just drop.
It just dropped.
And it was very slow. And
then it picked up again.
And then it picked up again. And then it was a roller coaster of emotions, literally, just because so much happened that it was hard to process one thing after another. Because you're something would happen. You try to process it. And then something else would happen, and you're still trying to process the thing that just happened. It's
they didn't give you time to breathe or take in what happened, because something else was happening immediately afterwards, and you're still processing what happened a few minutes before. And it's just, I don't know. I just had trouble keeping up, and I definitely want to see it again. Which is not something I said for The Last Jedi. No. I'm just going to try and fill in as much of my hatred for The Last Jedi as possible. But I'll definitely see it again just to kind of take it from another perspective, a fresh perspective, because I know what happens now, and just kind of try and just soak it in as much as possible. And maybe I miss stuff. I mean, the first viewing's always very difficult because it's brand new. You're taking in all this information all at once. You miss stuff. So
I'm just curious because,
see what happens. Maybe I'll like it a little bit more. Maybe I'll like it less. I don't know.
Well, because, obviously, like you said, the first time you watch something, you're just oh, my God,
what's happening?
What is happening?
What is this?
I can't absorb any of this, but I'm absorbing all of it at the same time.
Right.
And so,
just overstimulation.
Yes.
Just the entire time.
So I think having, a second viewing of it, we might have a different opinion on it. Opinion might say the same. We're not totally sure.
Right.
But it was still good.
Yeah.
It had its moments.
Fun.
It had funny moments. it had
serious
really like
and
tug
sad
at your
moments.
heartstring moments that I cried. I did cry. I'll admit, I cried.
I got teary-eyed. I wouldn't say I felt.
I cried just because I was already
Eyes were
teary-eyed, and then
watering.
I'm like, oh crap, and then they just started falling.
Yeah. No, I didn't full
I
on
don't-
bawl.
I wasn't like, oh my god, I'm crying.
But no,
I
I did.
It was just like, oh my gosh.
I did hear a few people in the audience like just full on crying, like just bawling.
Okay, we talked about in our last podcast, just like don't clap in the beginning of
clapped.
a movie.
You
clapped. I did it. I know.
You're a hypocrite.
I know. I'm sorry.
I was sitting there just like thinking the entire time she clapped.
I know.
Why is she clapping?
I know. I'm sorry.
Why?
I let you down.
You did.
I
It's
did.
fine. But you're excited, so it's just
because there was a preview for the new Top Gun movie, and it was silent, and this one guy in the audience just like, yeah! And
I hate it.
then nobody really clapped for the, like, I mean, once, like, you know,
Yeah, which thank God nobody
started clapping. It was silent.
I loved
I
it.
did clap
That was I was
when,
so
like,
happy.
the Lucasfilm logo came on, and I was like, yes! But then I didn't, and I only
Overall,
clapped
like,
once.
For me, just in comparison to, you know, The Last Jedi, just the theater viewing experience as a whole,
It's very different.
Was very different. I think that's part of why I didn't like The Last Jedi as much as I might have. Again, it's not my favorite. It's whatever. But the entire time, I'm sitting there not happy with what's happening, and people are clapping and cheering, and I'm like, it just didn't make sense. So the fact that, like, people only really clapped for, like, 2 seconds, and then at the end made it a better experience for me because I could actually like take it in instead of being mad at people, you know, sitting around me. I could focus on the movie. So that was refreshing for sure. And hopefully if I see it again, that's the same kind of experience. But
Yeah.
we'll see. It's always different no matter where you go in a theater. So
the atmosphere always, you know, it kind of depends on reviews and stuff, because I know with like Rotten Tomatoes, I think the critics' review is like complete trash.
But the audience
score was like through the roof. It's like one of the top audience score, I believe, Star Wars movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then you flip that with Last Jedi, and it's the complete opposite.
No, remember, Last
Critics'
Jedi
reviews,
didn't happen, okay? It didn't happen. We're
critic
ignoring
reviews,
that.
I'm still going to say it.
I'm ignoring
Critic
it.
reviews were like, it's amazing, it's the best Star Wars movie ever. And then audience reviews were like, no.
Yeah.
But again, I'm one of the few that actually enjoyed it just because it was different. And it brought, you know, we got to see new planets, we got to meet new people. Yes, a lot of it was unnecessary.
The whole movie was
It was still fun to see a Star Wars movie in theaters. Like, this was the last time we could see a brand new Skywalker Saga movie in theaters. Like,
well, for now, I mean, Disney
they're not gonna
is going to milk it.
They're going to do like The Mandalorian, and there's going to be the Kenobi series with Disney Plus, which Mandalorian, seriously, go watch it if you have Disney Plus. If you don't have Disney Plus, what are you doing? Go get it. It's amazing.
Right.
Baby Yoda for the win.
Yes. I had a Baby Yoda shirt on yesterday. It was awesome. So overall, I think just, again, I need to see it again just to kind of get my full, you know, review of it, I guess, in a way, or just kind of process it a bit more. But overall, it wasn't my least favorite, so I'll give him JJ credit. You know, he didn't completely ruin it for me. So
there was some stuff, though, like we said, it's just some of it's like, why, or like, how is this possible?
Right.
And we'll definitely delve more into that in the
my
spoiler
gosh.
half, because
so many things
I
we need
have
to talk
so
about.
much I want to say, but
So
I
many
can't right now
things.
because we don't want to ruin it for those that want to be surprised themselves.
Right, but if you're a Star Wars fan, don't go in with very high expectations.
Have no expectations. None.
And just enjoy it. It's, you know, it's a brand new Star Wars film. We're lucky to get them. So, you know, just take it for what it is.
Well, just the fact that it's been 42 years of this entire
Right.
saga,
It's
like, that's
incredible.
crazy.
And
like,
I do feel like they did tie a lot of stuff back. Just
well, it's,
over
again,
the
it's
course of
very,
that
it's
entire
very
9.
nostalgic.
No, it is.
It's very
And
nostalgic.
with them tying it all together, like, it definitely, like, I didn't leave, like, satisfied knowing that, like, okay, this is the end. Like, I still had questions. But overall, as a story, it felt more complete than I was expecting, but not entirely, if
But
that
again,
makes
like
sense.
we said, it was kind of like a combo. Like, if like Last Jedi never happened and it was only
didn't
7
happen.
and 9.
How many times do we have to go over this? It didn't happen.
Anyways, so with this, it's like they
Usually.
took the story that
You
should
will
have
not
happened.
remember The Last Jedi. It did not happen.
You can shut up right now. But with 9, it's just like they took what should have happened in 8 and then the story of 9 and put it into one movie.
Right.
If it was like 4 hours, That it probably would have been so much better, because then they could have explained so many different things. Like, just do what Lord of the Rings does and do an extended version. I will watch the shit out of that. Oh.
Language. Kaitlyn, watch it.
I'm sorry. It slipped. I'm sorry.
Wow, you're doing so good with
I know, I was doing so good. I tried.
That's okay.
Do or do not. There is no try. I failed. And I let you guys down. I'm sorry.
You can get out now.
I'm going to take my water with me. I have a, for those listening, I have a Darth Vader Funko cup, because it's Darth Vader.
Mine's The Force Awakens, because that's my favorite one.
What are you drinking today?
I'm drinking coffee. It's peppermint mocha. So
Ooh.
It's holiday season. Why not?
We decided to not have alcohol this time around, because it's only
10:30 in the morning as we're filming this. So,
I mean, it's Friday though.
Nope. Don't. No.
Okay.
So, anything else, just non-spoiler wise, that you want to talk about?
I don't know, because I just want to talk about it, but I don't want to ruin it for anybody.
I know.
And I feel really bad. So our producer Josh hasn't seen it yet, and I feel so bad because we're
just
gonna ruin it for him. And I feel really, really bad.
We're so sorry, Josh.
I know. I'm really sorry, Josh.
So sorry.
I feel he's just laughing.
We still feel bad. So
okay.
We know you're a fan of Star Wars too. So we just
he has his own lightsabers, which we brought today.
Yep. So
he's a Jedi master. It's fine.
He is. He's awesome. We love him. So thank you, Josh.
Shout out to Josh.
Yes, Josh.
Because
without him,
yeah, without him,
this
would not be possible. He's been able to help us set this up. So yeah, thank you, Josh.
And we're sorry.
We're
so sorry.
We'll just pretend you don't hear any of this.
Right. We'll just use a Jedi mind trick on you, and you'll forget everything that happened.
No, when you say something like that, that means that he's small-minded. You just dissed him.
I didn't mean that. Or I'm just powerful too. Did you ever think of that? Nope.
No.
I love the silence. That just no response. All right, let's do the spoiler part now, because I can't hold it in any longer. Please.
Has it been?
It hasn't been very long, but I don't have any willpower, so. Yep.
Okay,
so please.
Let's do it.
Spoiler alert!
Spoilers!
Spoiler alert!
Spoilers! I gotta get it out.
Spoilers!
Spoiler alert!
Spoilers!
Spoilers!
We just pulled out our lightsabers. Spoilers! Don't. Okay, if you haven't seen it yet, do not continue listening or watching. Please.
Don't.
If you do, you brought it on yourself.
Don't
okay?
do it.
Don't do it.
So.
Don't do it.
I'll hit you.
All right, I'm turning this off now because the lightsaber's just humming and it's annoying. I love this thing.
Okay, yeah, yours is you have the legacy saber.
I have the nice fancy lightsaber.
Okay, so
spoilers.
Where do you want to start?
I can't say it enough. Spoilers. Okay? You think that's enough? They probably clicked away after all that.
Spoiler alert.
This is not what you're looking for.
This is not the spoilers you're looking. These are not.
There you go.
These are not the spoilers you're looking for.
There we go. I messed up. So
I messed up. You're fine.
Okay, here we go.
Where to begin?
Ooh, okay, so first of all, the biggest part reveal that we learned, Rey is a descendant from Emperor Palpatine.
What?
She's a Palpatine. Rey is a Palpatine. She's the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine.
Which, what?
I was honestly hoping they weren't going to go that route. Like, I don't want her to... Maybe this is just me because I love Rey and I love the character, but I was really hoping that she wasn't going to
be a part of any lineage.
Exactly.
Lineage.
Like, I didn't want any family ties or anything with Skywalker. Even, I know there was theories about Kenobi.
That would have been cool,
even
though.
Palpatine was, that was a theory that people were tossing around, too. But I don't want her to have that because I feel like that just kind of, not devalues, her story or her arc.
But they had to tie it to something, and it's like, why?
I know, but
why?
They didn't need to. But that
it could have been like Anakin, and he just because, granted, Palpatine is the one that essentially used the Force to make Anakin.
Is that right?
I don't know.
Anakin was created from the Force.
Anakin was created from the...
Yeah. Anakin was created from the Force, whether Palpatine manipulated that or it was midichlorians, what have you.
Oh, yeah, because the prequels brought midichlorians to the table.
Yeah, I'm so glad they got rid of that.
It was never brought up, ever, in this sequel trilogy. It was never brought up, midichlorians.
Right. But I wanted Rey to be something similar to Anakin, where she was maybe something of the Force to bring more balance, because with this, Emperor Palpatine has been alive this entire time. So technically, everything that Anakin did those first 6 movies don't mean anything now because Palpatine's still alive.
But, okay, so they didn't even address how Palpatine came back.
Right.
Like, it's literally the opening credits. They're like, oh, like, Kylo's trying to find this wayfinder to try and find Palpatine because he's hearing, his voice in his head. And then, so he's trying to find him. And then it's just like, Palpatine came back. Right. It's like you find out in the opening credits. That's how you find out. it's like, why they didn't even show us. So he's just like, all of a sudden there. And it's like, my big question is, because, like, he's in, like, Exegol or something. It's, like, the Sith place.
It's, like, this place where he's been hiding out this whole time.
But it's, like, from where he was, like, his body was destroyed on the Death Star.
Right.
But then they have his body like a zombie.
Oh, my gosh.
On, like, this cloth thing.
It was ridiculous.
And he just, like, it's like he's like a little puppet.
That was
one of the parts. Moving him.
Yeah, that was one of the parts I hated.
And he's like a zombie. He looks like one of the Walking Dead. Like, no joke, because, like, he has, like, his eyes are just, like,
it's just white. He has white eyes.
And he's, like, just deteriorating, and it was gross.
I feel like that would have been more powerful had he not been attached to, like, I mean, it was basically like,
it was like
a robot
this.
arm like this.
Our microphone.
I'm moving my mic up and down,
and he was the microphone, and they just like moved him.
It was ridiculous.
But there was no clear answer as to how he came to get there, because it was nowhere near where the Death Star was destroyed in Return of the Jedi. Like, how did his body get from there to Exegol?
I don't know.
Like, how is that possible?
I don't know.
That makes no sense.
He might have other Force abilities. I mean, who knows? Like, he might be able to, like, transfer his essence into another body or form.
No. Well, no, because, like, his body was deteriorating.
I don't know. And then they don't answer that question. I don't know.
Well, because I'm just going to go to the end. Because then, at the end,
just to skip everything.
Just to skip everything, just because it's part of it. And this is a spoiler portion of our podcast, so you were warned. Yeah. But at the very end, so then Kylo Ren is essentially no more. Ben Solo is now redeemed. Ben-demption is a thing. I've heard of that on, like, Twitter and stuff.
Right.
But so Rey goes to Exegol to defeat Palpatine herself, and then Ben shows up, and then, which was cool, because then Leia had a lightsaber.
Okay. Focus,
sorry, I know.
Focus.
It's just like one thing after another and after another.
One thing at a time.
But anyways, so then Rey and Ben fight against Palpatine, but then he, like, takes their life force.
Right. He has, like,
and then all of a sudden he's alive again.
Right. No, he has, like, force powers again that we haven't seen before. I mean, they might have touched on it in other episodes with, like, he can, like, create life, and with that, like, obviously the opposite comes where he can take life.
Some consider to be unnatural.
Right. So he took, like, their force essence, like, he took their life and used that to kind of, like, regenerate himself.
But it was like his body, though. That's what I'm confused about. How, like, again, how did his body get from one point A to point B? And
I don't know. Maybe
why did he wait until now?
Well, it might have been the whole, like, cloning situation, because, you know, we find out that Palpatine created Snoke, and there's, like, these tanks with, like, all these, like, Snoke forms in them.
It was weird. It just raised more questions than answers. I mean, it answered questions that we had from 7 and 8.
Yeah, as to who's raised parents.
But
it's also, you have to think about the fact that, like, how did Palpatine have kids? Was it the old-fashioned way, or did he do it via Force?
Palpatine got busy.
Yeah, so it's just that, like, it just brought up questions
just, like,
and answers that we didn't want to know. We didn't want to know that.
I don't want to know that. Like,
so, I don't know. It's just, again, that whole thing with Rey and Palpatine, like, I know they kind of touched on different aspects of her going to the dark side a little bit in 8, and, like, just with her anger and everything, but they didn't make it a full transition to where, like, they didn't have little hints or anything that it would be that she's a Palpatine, because to me, they just kind of were grasping at straws, and again, just trying to tie everything together just to tie everything together for the sake of it.
Well, and it's supposed to be...
And I wanted...
okay, I'll wait.
Sorry, yeah, I want to talk now.
I'll wait.
I wanted it to be more meaningful versus just, again, to do it just for the sake of tying everything together. I think that it kind of was a disservice to her character. Again, I think having her touch on the dark side is very interesting, and it gives us another facet to who she is, because she is such an embodiment of, like, the light and the hope and a hero. But heroes are flawed, so it's cool to kind of see them touch on that. But to go on the complete end of the spectrum and go full Palpatine, I wasn't too happy with that. To me, it just didn't make sense. Like, I get wanting her to talk about, be part of the dark side and, have those abilities, but that doesn't automatically make you a Palpatine if you go to the dark side. Like, to me, it just didn't make sense. And there weren't any hints or anything leading up to that being the case. And I feel like it just came out of left field completely.
Well, and again, it raised more questions than answers. Yes, those questions that we had from 7 and from 8 were answered because they had to fill those plot holes. And
like
because,
what? Which questions?
Well, again, raised parents. I'm trying to think what else because I'm still processing.
That's really it.
That was like the big one. I know that.
That's really it.
But I mean, even like with Luke thought that she was getting pulled to the dark side, and
also, but then we find out that Leia and Luke knew that Rey was Palpatine the entire time.
Why
that
not
makes
say
no
something?
Sense.
Be
Why
like,
wouldn't
hey,
she say something?
heads up, you're a Palpatine,
right? If she's been the entire 7 and 8, she was looking for who she was and her family, and then they knew the whole time, but they don't say anything.
But they did say in 9 that it doesn't matter as far as your bloodline. It's kind of like finding your newfound family, because blood isn't always the most important thing. It's not always something that you can fall back on. So they did say that. So it's just so she's not really following her family legacy, if you want to call it that. She's finding her own way.
Yeah, that's true.
And so
I still don't like that she's a Palpatine, though. That's not. You can't change my mind about that.
Well, at the very end, because it's called The Rise of Skywalker, she went to Tatooine.
I loved this part.
Visually, it was stunning.
I loved this part.
It was amazing.
She, at the end, she goes back to Tatooine. She goes back to the Lars homestead, where, Luke started his journey in episode 4. And, it's completely barren. There's nothing there. They still have the home and everything. But she goes, and she actually ends up burying Luke. It was Anakin's lightsaber, then Luke's, and then Rey's.
And then Leia also had
this lightsaber, if you're watching.
The legacy saber. But then Leia also had a lightsaber because I guess they showed a flashback of her and Luke training.
Yeah, she was training to become a Jedi.
She was training. It was awesome.
It was
CGI.
So cool.
It just Carrie Fisher.
Flat. That kind of hurt.
And it
didn't do her
stinks
justice.
just because they did not do Carrie Fisher justice in this, and it breaks my heart just because it just makes me wonder what would have happened had she not passed away,
been alive, right?
And had she been able to film 9, because it was episode 7 was Han, 8 was Luke, 9 was supposed to be Leia,
right?
And we didn't get
that at all.
They used scenes from the previous movies,
right? They just kind of updated them, which you could kind of tell, unfortunately. I was hoping it wouldn't be
what they had.
Right. I was hoping it wouldn't be as clear in that respect, but it was kind of, we knew going into it that's the case, and you could tell. But with the flashback scenes with her training, I loved that, and I think that's something they expanded upon in the novels and expanded the universe and different things. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Comment below. Let us know.
Well, I don't, because I know when Disney bought the rights, they completely to Star Wars, they're like, nope, none of those novelizations are canon.
Right.
Everything that we have is canon now, and I think a few other things. I'm not totally sure, but it's just it was actually really nice to have a glimpse at what could have been as far as Leia being a Jedi.
No,
because,
I agreed.
And then Rey called her master, and I about lost it.
Anytime Carrie Fisher was on screen, that's when I started getting teary-eyed, because I didn't full on cry again because I was trying to hold it in because we're in public, but
everybody was crying.
I definitely got teary-eyed watching Carrie on screen because this was her last performance that we see on screen, so it really just hit us. But yeah, she was helping train Rey at the beginning. We did get again glimpses of her in the past training with Luke. What was the reason why she stopped training?
She stopped because she knew eventually Ben would use her saber, and she didn't want to use it until there's some more meaningful reason for it, but it was like she wanted to save it because
she knew something was going to happen
to where she needed to help, I guess, facilitate that to make sure it would happen, so she could no longer train, because if she did, it wouldn't happen.
Right.
Yeah, man, it broke. Oh gosh,
there's so much. I'm still, again, I know
we're still processing
said this a lot, but yeah, we're still processing.
Again, definitely need a second viewing of it just to really absorb everything we missed. And
also, just to throw this out there, with kind of going back to the whole Rey Palpatine thing, she has Force lightning abilities,
my God.
And that's when my jaw dropped. This was probably about halfway through the movie. I was like chilling, I'm good, I loved it, and then that happened, and I just I was in shock for 5 minutes afterwards. I totally drew a blank. I wasn't paying attention to what happened because I'm just sitting there.
She was just sitting on the edge of her seat, just what happened?
What was that? And she has, and she had no idea she had that capability. It was just out of anger and frustration with what was going on in that scene. And
do we want to say what happened in that scene?
No, I don't want to ruin too many things. We've already ruined a lot, but little things.
Just
I want to keep,
plot points.
A surprise, I guess, but. Just all the major things. It's okay. We just ruined everything for everybody. But we did warn you. So we warned you. If you're still watching, it's your own fault. But
yeah, we blame you guys.
Really. She has Force lightning abilities, and then oh my gosh, that part, my jaw dropped.
And
chills. It was amazing. It was the same chills that I got when in episode 7 when Rey catches the lightsaber for the first time. That kind of moment. It just chills all running up and down my body. It was amazing. And, it's just, and a lot of it, they had humor in it. They, again, had serious
C-3PO
moments.
was funny.
Right. There were some moments that I'm why did they, some moments didn't make sense to me with 3PO.
I feel like they tried a little too hard with 3PO. Some of it was oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Only 3PO would say that. Right, but at the same time, it's they're trying to force it.
Pun intended.
What? But yeah, I feel like there was humor, and it was an entertaining movie. Mm-hmm. It's not to say that it wasn't entertaining. It was a very entertaining movie.
No, it definitely was.
It had its ups and downs, obviously, as any movie.
But I think just in comparison to the other 6 films, I think personally the prequel trilogy as a story arc overall
is the most complete.
And, obviously the original trilogy was incredible. That also has a great story arc. But this one, each film just felt so independent from each other. And then at least 7 and 8 did. And
even if you
9 was just kind of combining everything. And
even if you look at comparing 7 and 9, it still feels they don't feel like they go together still, if you really think about it.
Honestly, for me, they felt 7 and 9 felt they went closer together than 8 ever did.
Yes, I agree with that.
But the difference between 7 and 8 is complete. It's a stark difference. It didn't feel like the same movie, the same characters or anything. And then 7 and 9 just, again, ignore 8 because it didn't happen.
Wow.
And 7 and 9, that's the trilogy. 9 is 8 and 9 together.
It wasn't a complete story arc. And again, they left more questions and we'll never know the answer because it's over.
Right.
It's over. And
for now.
There was even hints.
Give it 20 years.
Give it 20. They'll do a reboot, and then they'll have this cast be cast as, the older versions of themselves. It's just going to go on forever.
It's just going to go on forever.
That says something to the fact that they can tell this story so many different ways, though. Just the power that it has.
Right. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible, but
I was gonna say something. Sorry, but I lost my train of thought.
I didn't. Anyways, force Jedi mind trick on you. Haha. Also, they were to kind of take a break for a second for the Rey situation. So with Finn, there were inklings that he could possibly be force sensitive, and that's another question that we don't get answered at all. And, I feel like they kind of touched on it in episode 7, especially with the trailers with seeing him with the lightsaber and just all of this stuff. 8, they did a complete disservice to his character.
They did a disservice to everybody. I still enjoyed it, but I agree.
So oh my gosh, that's a win. She just said that.
Just because after seeing Rise of Skywalker, my opinions have kind of...
That just made my day. That just made my day. You just said it was a disservice to the characters in episode 8.
It was still entertaining, though. Visually,
I'm so glad we have that recorded. I am so glad we have that recorded.
Of course. But, like, visually, like, the reason I love 8 so much is mostly because I'm a very visual person. I'm a graphic designer. Visually, it was stunning. Like, what they were able to accomplish and, like, the creatures they were able to make, the places they were able to go was phenomenal. And they really kind of set the bar.
Production value
was,
overall was just amazing.
Story-wise, yes, there's stuff that I don't agree with. Some of it, I've had conversations with friends, I've had conversations with coworkers about it, that, we have different opinions, which I honestly think that's not a bad thing.
No, it's healthy to have like those discussions.
Unfortunately,
and those
in recent years, especially with this new trilogy, it's kind of like, well, if you don't agree with my opinion, you're wrong.
Right.
Which,
it's kind of become a cool thing to hate it. Like,
but why? Like, you can have your own opinion.
I don't
care going
for it,
to see a Star Wars movie and just enjoying the fact that you're seeing a Star Wars movie.
Right.
And I understand, everything that happened with Last Jedi and, the feedback from that and everything. But we still got to see a new Star Wars movie, right? Which we never thought would be able to.
Right. We thought, back in episode 3 in 2005, we thought that was the last one.
So, the fact that they were able to continue this, we should honestly be very thankful that we got this.
No, I know. I definitely am. I think my frustration just with it overall, just with this trilogy, is just the story and just character arcs. For me as a writer, like, story is crucial. I mean, and it's a movie. That's crucial. Obviously, story is crucial in anything, books, movies, TV shows. And if, your visuals can be strong, your production value, costumes, CGI, graphics, everything, all of that can be great, but when the story lacks, it completely drops the movie. And that was The Last Jedi for me. And that's why, The Force Awakens, it was, again, I know it's kind of a rehash of, well, not kind of, it basically is a rehash.
Well, they had to bring the audience in somehow because...
But that is such a complete story, and it made sense, and they weren't really throwing too many curveballs at us.
Careful not to shake the table. BB almost fell over. Sorry. We have our BB-8.
I'm getting so heated. I'm just...
Don't use Force lightning.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
And it just... I don't remember where I was going.
Story,
where was I going?
You're a writer... CGI.
Yes, thank you. The overall story of 7 was the complete one. And then 8, it was slow. There was things that, the plot there were things that didn't need to happen that happened. And it was dragging, and it just, no character development. And for me, that's like the core of why I don't like it. And then 9, it kind of brought back a little bit of those from 7, but it still lacked a little bit in story for me, and pacing was a big one.
Well, and they can't... Not everybody can be happy with it. They can't please everyone.
Right.
And honestly, with Rise of Skywalker, it really felt like they were just catering to all the fans' wants. It's like, oh, they want this, they want that, but it didn't make sense with the story. They're just like, oh, well, they complained that they didn't get this before, so we have to put it in there somehow. And it's just like they really just try to be like, okay, we have to please everybody, so we have to put everything in one movie. So, and it fell short.
With that, just with pleasing everybody, for the Reylos out there, if you guys don't know what Reylo is, it's
Rey and Kylo.
A ship name for
which
that
it
relationship.
Works, though, because his last name is, so his name is Ben Solo. It takes the Olo out of Solo, so it works both ways with Kylo and Solo.
With with that being said, if there are Reylo shippers out there,
you will be happy. Because oh my god.
Because they briefly
have a smoochy smooch.
They kiss.
They have a smoochy smooch, but then Ben died because he saved Rey because she died first, defeating Palpatine.
It's a whole thing. Everybody dies and then comes back to life and then dies
except
again.
Ben, and then
he's dead now.
But so with that, because Leia used the rest of her Force life essence, whatever you want to call it, to then, I guess,
help turn Kylo
into Ben. And then, which honestly, I applaud Adam Driver for his portrayal of Kylo Ren, just because you can see.
I didn't hate him as much in this one, which was great. He was so whiny in the other ones. I just can't stand it.
He got it from his grandfather. Anakin.
I know who you're talking about.
Just to clarify. But you could see the moment that he went from Kylo to Ben,
which is really cool.
He's such a talented actor.
No, I mean, even just with the fighting style changed, where Kylo was more just so attack mode, where
he was very sassy, and I loved it. It was very Han Solo-esque.
With his fighting, and so Kylo was very attack. Ben was more defensive, which was interesting, just to see like that difference. Leia ends up, using the rest of her life force abilities to change Kylo. Kylo then tracks Rey to Exegol. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Where Palpatine is.
Which he has like a whole Sith army, which is like, where the heck have you guys been?
You can't keep doing that because I can't remember where I'm going. They keep just throwing random things out there.
He went to Exegol to help Rey. You were able to see, the Solo side of him.
Oh, so thank you. Gosh, just stop interrupting. I can't. You keep losing my train of thought.
I'm sorry. I'm just remembering stuff.
Leia, uses the rest of her life and transfers her Force life to Kylo. He changes into Ben. Ben then goes to Exegol, where Rey and Palpatine are. And we get to see, that Force connection with Rey and... I was going to say Kylo. It's Ben now. Sorry.
It's Ben!
With Rey and Ben, and they kind of connect. Rey has Leia's lightsaber and Luke's lightsaber.
They're both blue.
And they do, like, this weird transfer thing, because Kylo went in without any weapons, because he threw his cross-guarded lightsaber.
He just yeeted it all the way away.
It was gone. He got rid of it once he became Ben. And so he didn't have any weapons. He was just going in just to go help Rey. And they do this cool transfer thing with that Force, and
with their Force bond.
Yeah, with their Force bond, she transfers. She puts the lightsaber behind her back, and then all of a sudden he does it, and he has the lightsaber.
And he pulls the Han Solo whoops kind of shrug
and defeats.
It was the Knights of Ren. I think it was the Knights of Ren.
Back. So he fought the Knights of Ren and destroys them, and then Rey and Ben team up and try and take on Palpatine.
But then Palpatine yeets
Ben
and then Palpatine over a cliff. And then Rey defeats Palpatine, but then she dies from it. And then Ben comes up the thing that he was yeeted off of, and he's half dead.
Yep, and then he transfers
the rest of his life force to Rey.
Yep,
and
they kiss,
he dies.
and then he dies.
And that was it. And then she's like, I'm going to go live alone. And she went to Tatooine.
Yep.
That's how it ended.
That's the story. That's it.
Yay.
It's
so much to process.
So much. It's just...
Emperor has to be dead just because they're not going to continue.
They might do a whole
because we didn't think he'd come back.
Because we thought he was dead in episode 6, and then we found out he wasn't. So they might do a whole thing again where he comes back, but it's just 30 years from now.
One thing, since Rey is a Palpatine, so, she went to Tatooine, an old lady was like,
I just had a thought.
What's your name? Hold on. What's your name? She's like, Rey. And she's like, Rey who? And she's like, Rey Skywalker. But in the end, Palpatine technically still won because no, Skywalker, blood is alive. Palpatine won in the end because she's a Palpatine. So, he won.
I just had a thought.
What's your thought?
Whole Palpatine deal. So... Palpatine, we thought he died in episode 6 with Anakin being the chosen one, killing him.
Yes.
What if the reason why Palpatine didn't die is because it had to be by a blood relative and not just anybody random? Maybe that's why Rey was able to defeat him, because she is a Palpatine. Maybe it had to be to finally defeat him permanently. And she had to be a Palpatine to do it.
Well, and in the trailers and stuff, they're
I don't know. Maybe it's
1,000 generations live in you now. So when she was defeating Palpatine, you could hear Anakin,
oh my gosh, they had all of
Qui-Gon
the
Jinn, Yoda. You could hear all of these.
They got all
different
the actors.
Jedis saying, "You can do it," essentially.
Right.
And then she defeated Palpatine, and he disintegrated. It was
Honestly, the entire time that was happening, I was just reminded of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what I was thinking.
When
the whole
Voldemort
time.
just sheds.
Right. Well, just with when Harry goes into the Forbidden Forest and he he sees his parents, in ghost form, and he's like, "Are you with me?" And they're like, "Always." And he goes and he gets killed by Voldemort, and then he comes back.
It's the same story.
It's
the same exact story.
It's the same thing.
I didn't put that together.
It's the same thing. Rise of Skywalker is the Deathly Hallows.
So
there you go.
What would you call that?
What do you mean?
So is it Harry Potter and the Rise of Skywalker and then Star Wars, the Deathly Hallows?
Yeah, there you go.
Boom.
Boom. What up? But I mean, that's what I was thinking the entire time watching that. I'm like,
about that.
Oh my gosh, this is very Harry Potter-esque vibe.
Well, it's just how they did it. It was it wasn't the best CGI, But it was just like, it was gross.
They spent all their money on the cameos and all the production value and sets and everything. So locations. But, like, and
it was gross because it was just like, he was like, his skin was like falling off. And it was already gross because he was like a zombie. Ugh. And then it was just like skull, and then it was just like nasty. Blood. It was just nasty.
And then he just poof.
And then he was just like, I'm gone.
He disappeared.
Bye-bye.
But yeah, isn't that interesting? That's what I was thinking the entire time. I'm like, this is just Harry Potter. It's just Harry Potter in space.
Harry Potter.
It's Harry Potter in space. Well, that's all you need to know.
There you go. So if you are going into it, Rise of Skywalker is just the last Harry Potter.
There you go.
That's all you need to know. There's a battle. They fight. People die.
What were your favorite cameo appearances?
Lando.
It was really cool to see Lando.
And then him and Chewie when they were interacting.
It was great.
And then he was on the Falcon.
The surprising one for me, we get to see Han Solo again.
He comes back.
It's
a memory for Ben, but like once he
becomes Ben.
Like right before he yeets his lightsaber. Because they're on the wreckage of the Death Star after Rey. They have their battle in the water, which was amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing.
It's pretty much the same exact scene from Force Awakens
when he kills
Han, except he does what he should have done, and Kylo Ren is no more.
Right, and like the dialogue was like exactly the same.
I full on gasped. Like he's like, "Hey kid," I'm like,
"Oh!" And I was like, "Are they doing it? Are they doing it?"
And they pan to him, and I'm like, "It's Harrison Ford."
It was awesome. So I'm so glad they did that, and then they brought Mark Hamill back as a Force ghost of Luke. And then, we had Lando. And then, all the voices of former Jedi.
Was it just me, or was it, did they show Wedge? Was that who
I can't remember if it was Wedge. It might have been Wedge. When they have, like, this big battle between all of these Star Destroyers and then, like, the Resistance and just people against the First Order and the Empire.
It's the Final Order now, so it's, like, the First Order and the Sith in one. Combined. So it's the Final Order from Palpatine.
Right, and he had all these Star Destroyers, so there's this big space battle, because you have to have a space battle at Star Wars.
Pew, pew.
And we get to see all these, like, ships, and everybody's coming together.
I think it was Wedge, though.
I think it was Wedge. I'll have to watch it again just to make sure, but I think they threw Wedge in there, which is really cool. And let me see who else. And in the voices, I was noticing in the credits, they brought Ahsoka. Ahsoka was one of the voices.
What?
So if you've watched the Clone Wars, Ashley Eckstein, she came to record her voice for that.
See, there's so much I already missed because it was like voice after voice after voice after voice.
They were all overlapping.
And it was really hard to like pinpoint. I mean, obviously, like Yoda, like you know who that is. Qui-Gon Jinn was one I definitely noticed. I was like, oh my god.
It was. That was. I'm glad they kind of. That's the part I like, just tying them all together. That was really.
We're gonna have to watch it again because I'm gonna have to see the credits. Like, what if they had like Padme's voice? I didn't think about that.
I mean, she's not a Jedi, though.
They did. I know, but like, it's Padme. You can't like not include her.
She's not a Jedi.
They did like with the prequels. It's just I feel so bad for her. You gotta feel bad,
but. Also, that just reminded me, I just had a thought. So with Padme, so the whole thing with Anakin, why he eventually turns to the dark side is because he couldn't save Padme.
Oh!
That's kind of redeemed in Ben when he saved Rey. Which is kind of cool. So it's kind of just...
symmetry.
Yeah, there's got to be a balance. So
I didn't think about that.
Isn't that cool? So...
Well, because they always...
I loved that.
I think George Lucas always talked about this being like... it rhymes. So like each kind of... trilogy rhymes with the others, if that makes sense.
You mean like mirrors it, or
I think. Let me find out.
What do you mean? I don't understand. I mean, I get what you're trying to say, but just trying to process it. So it's like they each kind of like play off the other, or like history repeats itself.
Let me find the quote. It's like poetry. They rhyme is what he says.
Okay.
So just the fact that like what you just said with Padme and Anakin, and then Rey and Ben.
I just had that thought. I just thought of that. So
genius.
Thank you.
But like, if only you.
I'm pretty smart sometimes.
But yeah, like it just that it's poetry. It rhymes. There again, like you said, has to have balance.
Right.
Because the Force needs balance.
Right.
But my question is, if their Force bond was so strong, technically, like, how is Rey gonna be able to like? Because if one of them dies, like, what happens? Because like with the Force, like, is the Force okay?
Maybe if Is the Force okay? Is the Force okay? Is the Force falling and can't get up? With that, though, since maybe it's because he transferred his Force essence into Rey, maybe that's the balance now, because she has both, all the Jedi and then the dark side with the Palpatine. Well, because
Palpatine wanted her to strike him down. It was a very, it mirrored very much so when
Return
Luke,
of the Jedi.
Yeah, with Luke, and he's like, strike me down, and you'll become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Like that whole thing. It was pretty much the same dialogue from Palpatine to Rey, because then he's like, yes, then all the Sith, once you strike me down, will live in you.
Yeah, she'll be Empress
Palpatine. I'm like,
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to do a Dark Rey cosplay. Just that
scene, it was very awesome. Quick with Dark Rey. They hinted at it in the trailer. It was kind of cool because she fought against herself.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh my gosh, wait, can we do that? Except you don't want me to be Rey because
you can be Dark Rey and we'll trade off.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yes, please.
We'll do that. We'll do.
I just got really excited.
Normal.
Can we do that?
Well, and I want the.
Can we do that for Celebration?
Oh,
because it's in August.
I'm gonna be blonde though. That doesn't work.
Wigs.
I hate wigs,
but it would be cool because we're twins, we look the same. It would work.
Yeah, it would work. We'll think about it
because I just want to be like double bladed.
I do want to get that cosplay, the white Jedi outfit. I have the first two, and yeah, I would love to do the white Jedi cosplay for sure. And at the end of the movie, so she buried the lightsabers, Luke's and Leia's. But then we see that she has her own, and it was created from bits of her staff, and she has a yellow blade.
But where did she get the yellow kyber crystal?
That's my question.
That's one of the questions we never had answered.
And I mean, I guess we won't ever
find out, but where did it come from? How did she get it? How did she know how to build it? Was that stuff we missed? What? I don't know. What?
We don't know. But it's cool and I want it. So that's going to happen down the road, maybe, hopefully, possibly. Yes, I want it to.
Not like we have a long list of cosplays we already want to do.
There's so many, guys. This is why it's bad, because it's I see something, I'm like, oh, I'm going to cosplay that. Oh, I'm going to cosplay that. And I'm getting sucked into the Star Wars cosplay
see it,
again.
You want it.
It's bad. It's never-ending spiral. And I haven't cosplayed as Rey in a couple of years, just kind of taking a break from it, and this kind of just reignited that desire to cosplay as her again. So that will be happening, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, she has a yellow blade, and we don't know where the kyber crystal came from. It's kind of a thing that just happened, and we don't get an answer for it. So, but it is what it is, I guess.
It was really cool though, because she was like, pew, and it lit up, and
I gasped. There were so many times I just gasped. My jaw dropped.
Again, it wasn't as bad as I was expecting.
Right. Well, I had zero expectations, so it was fine. Don't go in with high expectations.
Have
you're
no
gonna get disappointed.
It had, again, its ups and downs, but
it's not perfect.
It's not. Well, it's never going to be perfect, just because everybody has their own opinion,
right?
And they can't. It was very fan serviced, again, but it wasn't horrible.
No,
it wasn't horrible. It's not the worst one.
Not the worst one. So,
it could have been better.
Yeah,
they could have done a whole lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And
how many? Didn't they do a couple reshoots with it?
They did a few reshoots. I think they had
how many? I think they had
several
so many
different
endings.
Yeah, several different endings, and they decided to do that. But it's what makes me sad is just she started off on a sand planet by herself.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. And then she ended on a sand planet by herself.
Because sand is rough, coarse, and irritating, and it gets everywhere. I had to bring it up. And it's just
how dare
why?
you?
Because in Force Awakens, she's I've never seen this much green ever, or whatever the line is. And
I didn't know there was just much green in the entire galaxy.
There you go. And it just it just breaks my heart, because it's just she went.
But she's okay now. She has her friends and family.
She's by herself.
But I mean,
there was nobody else there.
We don't know that, because it's just, it is what it is, and she's not sad as she was at the beginning. She knows she has people behind her, and she has thousands of generations of Jedi living within her, so she'll never be alone.
If they ever did continue it, I know this new trio for this sequel trilogy. They're we're not doing any other movies. We're not doing Disney Plus. We're not doing any of that. If they decided to do it, would we ever see Rey training anybody? Would she become a master?
I think what I would want is just, just with the whole Finn being force sensitive, maybe they kind of explore that briefly. Maybe she takes in younglings and kind of do what Luke was trying to do
and
that we saw in episode 8, but she succeeds.
Well, because there's no more Skywalkers to mess everything up because it's all their fault.
They're all dead.
Everything that happened in Star Wars is all because of the Skywalkers.
Yeah. Dramatic family. Goodness.
Yep.
And the Skywalker is more just, it's not like the lineage of the family now. I think that's going to turn into like just Jedi. You know what I mean? Like it's not, okay. I guess I can't explain myself very well.
But I'm processing.
So, the Skywalker, it's, again, been family. The name is passed down from generation to generation.
Oh, yes. Okay,
but now it's not like a family thing. It's more just like this is the new Jedi Order in a sense, and they're called Skywalkers.
Ooh.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand now. Okay, it took me a second. I was still like thinking about like
no, you're good.
A million other things.
Trying to explain it in a way that makes sense.
There's one more thing I really wanted to talk about.
And I'm like checking my
notes.
It's
just there's so much. The point in the movie that really just like kind of took me out of it was the second they said that Chewie was dead.
Oh yeah, that's when
he didn't die. He didn't die.
He's fine.
They like fooled you into thinking he did. But I'm like, you can't hurt Chewie, man.
I know.
Like,
that is a close one. That's with the whole Force lightning. They're on that.
She's trying to like save Chewie from like a transport because the Knights of Ren and Kylo took Chewie.
They're on that desert planet. If you've seen in the trailers, when Rey does that cool backflip thing and
that
cuts
was cool.
Kylo's ship. They're trying to escape, but Chewie gets captured by the Knights of Ren and the stormtroopers, and they're trying to leave, and Rey is using the Force to try and pull the ship down, and then Kylo comes and he's trying to pull the ship down.
So it's like a tug of war trying to get the transport
between them, and then all of a sudden like she's trying so hard, and the lightning comes out of her hands, and she's just like in shock, like
it's like when Baby Yoda first realized he had Force abilities, and he's like, "What?"
Right. It was like complete shock moment, and for like 15-20 minutes we think Chewie's dead, and then we realize he's okay.
He's alive.
So it was a different transport.
But that took me out of it because I love Chewie.
But I think another problem for me is just every action didn't have like a consequence, like because they just fixed it. Chewie, you think Chewie's dead, he's
alive.
not. He's alive. They turn C-3PO. They erase his memory to figure out a way to get to Exegol. There's like this blade and the wayfinders, and it's the whole thing, and they need C-3PO to translate it.
But he won't because
it's not in his protocol, and it's in Sith language, so they have to rewire him, and he loses his memory. But then
that's what the red eyes from the trailer were from, is just because he's like reading it and his voice got really deep.
Right, but then they completely just cancel that. And
it's like, R2 had a backup
of his memory. So it's just, there's a lot of things that like they do and they don't commit to it, because then they just revert back. And
well, it like last 5 minutes, they're like, nope, never mind, we take that back.
Right. So that kind of bugged me, because it's like, they do something and they just kind of erase it and backstep it instead of just committing to that action.
So
and to me, storytelling wise, that's just, it didn't play out very well for me. It would have been interesting to have Rey kind of, as much as I wouldn't want it to happen, to have Chewie die, to have her grapple with that, and that
because fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering.
Exactly. It would have been an interesting arc for her to kind of, she's angry, she's upset, so she is going to turn to the dark side. But at the end, she realizes, no, love is stronger.
Well, and she even said she was afraid of herself.
Right.
So, again, fear leads to anger.
Right.
Anger leads to hate.
There's a lot of things that they did but couldn't commit to, and that was a problem.
They couldn't make up their minds, and again, they tried to please everybody that ever existed, ever, and it's just...
You can't do that.
You can't do that. You're going to like it or you're going to hate it. And
I'm in the middle still.
I'm still in the middle. It's a balance between I liked it and I hated it. Just because, there's good and bad. Yep. Just like
the Force.
Like the Force. It's a balance. We're so clever.
What?
I don't know. It's just definitely going to have to see it again.
And then we'll get back to you guys. Maybe our minds have changed after the second viewing. Who knows? Any final thoughts? That's a no. No, no final thoughts.
I'm thinking. It's just like so much happened.
There was one part where you know, before the force lightning and, you know, they're fighting over the ship, they fall into like this like pit, and that's how they get into
like quicksand.
Yeah, and it's a whole thing, but Finn was saying that, oh, Rey, I have to tell you something. And then we never hear what he had to say. Oh, yeah, he never said what he had to say. So, again, they commit to something, and then they pull back, and they don't finish it. So, I don't know. Again, I'll have to watch it again.
That's what she said.
Oh, my gosh.
I had to. Oh, gosh.
Did you, though?
I did.
Usually it's me, the one that does that.
Oh, gosh, I had to. I'm, like, tearing up right now.
You proud of yourself?
Yes, I am. Continue.
Oh, gosh. No, I'm done. That's how we're going to end this. I'm done now. But that's all we've got for you guys today. If you've watched The Rise of Skywalker, please share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe because we got more fun content coming to you soon.
Follow us on Instagram.
Yes, all of that will be in the description below.
We just want to thank everybody. So to our community now for, you know, hosting this.
Yes.
To Joe Altman, to our producer Josh. And everybody
awesome.
watching and listening, we appreciate you weirdos. So,
and just to give you a sneak peek of what's coming up next,
Harry Potter.
It's kind of funny that we brought up Harry Potter today. It's kind of fitting, but we are going to be going to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, not literally, but via the internet.
We have been there though.
And we're going to be taking some Pottermore quizzes and seeing what houses we fall in and what our wand types are and Patronuses and all that fun stuff. So keep an eye out for that.
We want to have a fun one.
Yeah.
After this one, just because of Rise of Skywalker and that. So
we'll see you guys next time. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
Ooh, I almost dropped my lightsaber.
She's breaking things.
Ooh, I'm gonna turn this.
Wait,
on
I want to turn mine on. Hold on, one more. Mine doesn't make cool sounds.
Bye, guys.
Bye.